My roommate stole my food for months, laughing when I confronted him. So I cooked a special meal just for him and let everyone watch when the truth came out. I'm Alex, 26, male. And for the past year, I've been living with the single worst roommate I've ever had, Mark, 27. When we first met, it felt promising. He was funny in that dry, sarcastic way. We bonded over late-night Mario Kart and crappy pizza, and for a while I thought, damn, I actually got lucky with this roommate situation. Rent was cheap, the apartment was decent, and Mark seemed chill. But then food started disappearing. At first I thought I was losing my mind. I'd buy a pack of chicken, portion it for the week, come home from work, and poof, it was gone. A whole carton of eggs? Vanished. Ice cream? Scooped clean, lid put back like it hadn't been touched. I asked Mark casually about it once, trying not to sound paranoid. He gave me this weird grin, shrugged, and said, "Maybe you ate more than you thought." His tone was playful, but there was this edge in his eyes like he knew. The thing is, I'm not some forgetful slob. I meal prep. I track my food because I'm trying to bulk up at the gym. I know exactly how much should be there, and every time I confronted him, he'd smirk, actually laugh, like I just told him the punchline to some joke only he understood. It wasn't even about the money. Yeah, groceries aren't cheap, but it was more than that. It was the disrespect. The way he'd act like it was funny when I'd open the fridge to find the meals I cooked for the week completely gone. Once, I came home to the smell of my own damn steak sizzling in my cast iron pan, Mark standing over it like some proud chef. When I called him out, he just said, "Relax, man, it's just food. Don't be so uptight." That was the first real crack in whatever friendship we had, because in that moment I realized it wasn't forgetfulness. It wasn't a misunderstanding. He was deliberately taking my food and enjoying the fact that I couldn't stop him. And if you've ever had someone invade that personal space, the fridge, the kitchen, the stuff you count on daily, you know it doesn't just annoy you. It eats at you. It makes you feel small, powerless, like you're being toyed with in your own home. And Mark loved that feeling. After that steak incident, things shifted between us. I stopped seeing Mark as a roommate who was a little inconsiderate and started seeing him for what he was, someone who enjoyed pushing my buttons. It got worse. Mark didn't just steal food anymore. He started making it a game. Like one night, I opened the fridge and noticed the milk jug was empty except for maybe a tablespoon. When I called him on it, he smirked and said, "I left you some. You're welcome." Another time, he peeled the label off my protein powder and wrote "Mark Stuff" on it with a Sharpie, like he'd just claimed it by conquest. And the more frustrated I got, the more he leaned into it. He'd wait until I sat down to eat something I'd actually managed to save, then walk by and say crap like, "Smells good, bro. Thanks for sharing." Not a question, not an apology, just this smug little jab. I tried every reasonable step. I put labels on everything. I bought my own mini fridge for my room. I even had a serious sit-down with him, told him flat out, "Look, man, I need you to stop. This isn't funny anymore." He laughed in my face. Laughed. Then he leaned back in his chair and said, "You're way too sensitive. You know, some people would call this a trust exercise." A trust exercise. Like I was supposed to be grateful my roommate was eating half my paycheck's worth of food each week. What burned most wasn't just the theft. It was how he turned it into some twisted inside joke. Like I was the uptight killjoy and he was just keeping things light. Our mutual friends, guys we both hung out with on weekends, noticed the tension, but Mark spun it like I was being dramatic. "Alex freaks out if you touch his sacred meal prep," he'd say, chuckling, while everyone else laughed awkwardly. And here's the part that really got under my skin. Some of them started joking about it too. Not maliciously, but still. They'd tease me, "Hide your snacks, Alex, or Mark will strike again." Like I was the punchline of my own life. Meanwhile, I was the one skipping lunches at work because my roommate had demolished 3 days' worth of food in one sitting. I was the one watching my grocery bills double, all while Mark grinned and acted like I was overreacting. That's when something in me started to shift. I wasn't just annoyed anymore, I was simmering. Every smirk, every little "thanks for sharing" chipped away at me. And eventually, I stopped thinking about how to stop him. I started thinking about how to make him regret it. Don't forget to subscribe. Once I crossed that mental line, thinking about making Mark pay instead of just stopping him, I started noticing every little crack in his armor. See, Mark liked to act like he was untouchable. Loud, confident, always laughing the hardest at his own jokes. But the truth was, he needed an audience. If no one was around to witness his little food theft comedy routine, he'd poke and prod until someone was forced to acknowledge him. He wasn't just stealing my food, he was stealing control. The first real blow-up happened 2 weeks later. I'd been working late shifts, dead tired, and the only thing getting me through was knowing I had a tray of homemade lasagna waiting in the fridge. I made it from scratch too. Layered pasta, ricotta, spicy sausage, the whole deal. I walked in the door at 11 p.m., and the smell hit me before I even reached the kitchen. Mark was on the couch, shoveling my lasagna into his mouth with a fork straight out of the pan, tomato sauce smeared on his chin. Something in me snapped. "Are you kidding me, Mark?" I barked, dropping my bag on the floor so hard the strap snapped. He didn't even flinch, just grinned with his mouth full and said, "Dude, relax. It's food. You'll survive." I lost it. I yanked the pan out of his hands, slammed it on the counter so hard it cracked, and said, "You're done. You touch my food again and I swear—" That's when he mocked me. Clutched his chest like I'd scared him and said in this fake serious voice, "Or you'll what? Cry about it to HR?" Then he laughed so hard he spit lasagna onto the floor. That was the moment I saw it clearly. This wasn't just about food. This was about humiliation. He wanted me angry because angry meant entertaining. But something shifted in me that night. I didn't yell again. I didn't slam another thing. I just stood there, staring at him until he got uncomfortable. Then I said quietly, "All right, Mark, you win." And I meant it. But not the way he thought. Because from that night on, I stopped trying to stop him. I stopped confronting him, stopped labeling things, stopped reacting. I let him think he'd broken me, that I was too tired, too beaten down to care anymore. But really, I was planning. Every smirk, every laugh, every bite of food he stole was another log on the fire. And I already knew how I'd set the trap. When I stopped reacting, Mark didn't know what to do with himself. At first, he kept pushing harder, like a kid pressing buttons on a broken toy. He'd open the fridge while I was in the room, pull out one of my meal prep containers, and eat it right in front of me, pausing for my reaction. I'd just nod, maybe sip my water, and go back to scrolling on my phone. It killed him. He tried new tricks, leaving dumb notes in the fridge like, "Thanks for dinner, Chef Alex," or tagging me in Instagram stories with captions like, "Rumi takes care of me." Every time, I gave him nothing. No anger, no sarcasm, just silence. And the silence ate at him. His jokes got louder, meaner. He'd say things like, "Damn, Alex, you don't even eat anymore, bro. What, you on a hunger strike?" His laughter sounded forced, desperate. Because without my outrage, without the show, he wasn't funny anymore. He was just a grown man stealing food. That's when I knew I had him exactly where I wanted him. So, I started my plan. A special meal just for him. The idea came to me while I was watching him lick barbecue sauce off his fingers one night. I realized Mark wasn't just a thief. He was greedy. He couldn't resist anything that looked indulgent, anything that smelled rich. He'd never go for plain boiled chicken or salad, but if it looked decadent, he'd pounce. So I decided to make the most mouth-watering, can't-resist dish I'd ever cooked. A honey garlic chicken stir-fry with caramelized onions, bell peppers, and sesame glaze. I cooked it slow, the smell filling the apartment, sweet and savory and thick enough to cling to the walls. And while it simmered, I added the secret ingredient. Not poison or anything that would actually harm him, but something guaranteed to humiliate him. Let's just say it was a recipe passed down from an older cousin who worked in kitchens and knew exactly how to make a meal. Unforgettable. I plated it beautifully, put it in the fridge in clear containers, labeled with my name like usual. Then I left them there, untouched. Because I knew Mark couldn't resist. And here's where it gets good. The following weekend, a few of our mutual friends were coming over to pregame before hitting the bars. Mark had invited them, of course. He always loved an audience. And I knew, without a doubt, that would be the night he struck. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Wow, I didn't expect this story to blow up the way it did. First off, thank you to everyone who commented, whether you said, kick him out already, or poison his intestines. Y'all are wild, BTW. I read through so many takes, and a lot of you hit on something I hadn't really admitted out loud. This wasn't about food anymore. It was about power. Some of you called Mark a bully. That's exactly it. He wasn't stealing because he was hungry. He was stealing because it made me feel small. And the second I realized that, everything clicked. To answer the biggest question, no, I didn't lace the food with anything illegal, toxic, or that would actually hurt him. I'm not trying to end up on the evening news over stir-fry, but I did make sure that what he ate would leave an impression. Let's just say there are culinary tricks that can make a meal very unpleasant once it's had time to settle in someone's stomach. Shout out to the commenter who said, make him regret every bathroom break for a week. Not saying that's what I did, but you're not far off. Anyway, here's where things stand now. The special meal is sitting in the fridge. Smells amazing. Looks even better. Mark's already sniffed around, made a comment like, damn, Alex finally cooking again. Guess you're done sulking. I just smiled and said, help yourself. And tomorrow night, we've got people coming over, his buddies, a couple of mine. Mark lives for that kind of spotlight, loves being the host, even if it's with my food in my apartment. So I'm just waiting. Calm, quiet, pretending I don't care. Because the truth is, I've never cared more. Next time I post, I'll tell you exactly what happened when Mark took the bait, and how everyone else got front row seats to the show. The night of the pregame, I played it cool. Too cool, maybe. I cleaned the place up, set out some cheap beer and chips, acted like any other chill Saturday. Meanwhile, the containers of honey garlic chicken sat in the fridge, glowing like bait in a trap. Mark was in his element the second people arrived. He'd queued up music, slapped hands with everyone, cracked loud jokes like he owned the place. I let him have it. Because I knew what was coming. It only took 20 minutes. I was grabbing a drink in the kitchen when I saw him slide the fridge open. He clocked the containers, smirked at me, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, guess Alex finally cooked something worth stealing. A couple of his friends chuckled, because of course they did. Mark lived for that reaction. He pulled the whole container out, no shame, popped it open, and the smell of glazed chicken hit the air. Sweet, savory, irresistible. Yo, y'all gotta try this, he announced, spearing a piece with a fork and shoving it in his mouth, like he was doing a taste test for the Food Network. Damn. Alex, this is fire. Don't worry, man, I'll save you some. Everyone laughed, but this time I noticed something different. A few of our mutual friends looked awkward, like they'd finally realized the joke wasn't funny anymore. Mark didn't care. He shoveled another bite, then another, grinning like he'd just pulled off the heist of the century. I just smiled. Glad you like it, I said. And he did. Oh, he couldn't stop eating. Half the container gone in 10 minutes, his buddies egging him on, Mark leaning back like a king at his feast. But here's the thing about that special meal. It doesn't hit right away. It lingers, sneaks up on you. By the time he polished off the last bite, I could already see it in his face. The slight twitch in his jaw, the way he started blinking faster, the hand that drifted toward his stomach before he quickly moved it away. That was my moment. I leaned back against the counter, watching him try to laugh through it, trying to keep control. The room buzzed with conversation, music thumping in the background, but I could see him unraveling. And then it happened. Mark doubled over, clutching his stomach, and let out this sharp, involuntary grunt. The laughter in the room died instantly. Everyone turned. He tried to wave it off, sweaty grin plastered on his face. I'm good, just ate too fast. But the second wave hit him hard. His face went pale, his forehead glistened, and then he lurched toward the bathroom like a man sprinting for salvation. The door slammed. A beat of silence. Then, well, let's just say the sound that followed was not dignified, not even close. And the whole apartment heard it. The noises coming from the bathroom weren't just embarrassing, they were catastrophic. Every groan, every splash echoed down the hallway like a live broadcast. People exchanged glances, half shocked, half struggling not to laugh. Someone muttered, "Holy shit, is he dying in there?" And the room broke into awkward chuckles. I didn't say a word. I just sipped my beer, calm as a monk, while inside, I was savoring every second. After 10 minutes of chaos, Mark stumbled back out, pale and sweaty, shirt clinging to him like he'd just run a marathon. His friends tried to keep straight faces, but one guy lost it. He actually spit his drink laughing. Mark glared at him, mumbling, "Shut the fuck up, it's not funny." But that only made it worse. He tried to save face. Sat down on the couch, forced a grin, said, "Guess I shouldn't have eaten all Alex's food, huh? Dude's cooking is lethal." He chuckled, waiting for people to laugh with him. But no one did. The energy had shifted. For the first time, he was the punchline. And it got worse. The special meal wasn't done with him. Within minutes, his stomach betrayed him again, loudly. A deep, gurgling growl filled the silence, and before anyone could react, Mark's eyes went wide. He bolted up, nearly knocking over the coffee table, and sprinted back to the bathroom. The crowd lost it. People doubled over laughing, some recording on their phones. I caught one girl whispering, "Karma's a bitch," to her friend. Mark stayed in the bathroom the rest of the night. His buddies eventually bailed, shaking their heads, muttering about how he always took things too far. The last guy out slapped me on the shoulder and said, "Bro, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen." Respect. When the apartment finally went quiet, I walked past the closed bathroom door. Mark was still inside, whimpering curses, blaming the food. I leaned against the wall and said, just loud enough for him to hear, "Maybe next time you'll ask before you steal." No response. Just silence. And for the first time in months, I felt like I had control again. Update 2. So, yeah, the special meal worked better than I ever imagined. First off, I need to say, y'all in the comments, absolutely ruthless. Some of you said I should have set up a live stream. Others wanted me to post the recipe like it was a family heirloom. One guy literally DM'd me Chef of Justice. I'm not saying I laughed out loud reading that, but okay, yeah, I did. Now here's what happened after my last post. Mark didn't just have a bad night. He had a full-on public meltdown. Every single person there got front row seats to him sprinting between the couch and the bathroom like a contestant in some sick obstacle course. The sounds, the smells. Let's just say his reputation tanked in under an hour. And the fallout? Oh, it's been delicious. Two of our mutual friends posted vague Instagram stories that night. Stuff like, "Don't steal what isn't yours," and "Instant karma is real." Everyone in our circle knew who it was about. Mark saw them and went ballistic in our group chat, ranting about how I poisoned him. But the thing is, I didn't poison Shot. I just cooked with enhancers. Nothing dangerous, just guaranteed to destroy his digestive system for a night. And the best part? Nobody believed him. Not one person. Because the second he started yelling about me poisoning him, everyone brought up months of him bragging about stealing my food. Screenshots of his dumb Instagram captions started circulating. The receipts were endless. So now he's trapped. If he says I did it, he admits he was stealing. If he denies stealing, he has no excuse for what happened. Either way, he looks like an idiot. Since then, he's been sulking around the apartment, dead silent, won't even look at me. The fridge is untouched. My food is exactly where I leave it. For the first time in a year, I can actually meal prep without anxiety. But something in him has shifted. He's not just embarrassed. He's simmering, like a cornered animal. I can feel it when he walks past me, the tension in his shoulders, the way he slams doors just a little too hard. He hasn't said a word, but I know this isn't over. And honestly, that scares me more than all the months of stolen food. The calm didn't last. For a couple days after the special meal, it was almost eerie. My food stayed untouched. The fridge was exactly the way I left it. Mark kept to his room, barely speaking, headphones glued to his head. At first, I thought maybe that was it. Humiliation finally broke him. But then the cracks started showing. One night, I woke up to the sound of cabinets slamming. I stumbled into the kitchen and found him tearing through the pantry like a raccoon, muttering under his breath. When he saw me, his eyes were wild, bloodshot, pupils blown. He pointed at me with a jar of peanut butter like it was a weapon and snarled, "You think you're funny? You think you embarrassed me?" I didn't answer, just leaned against the doorframe, calm. That made him snap harder. He hurled the jar across the room. It exploded against the wall, sticky streaks dripping down like a crime scene. "Everyone's laughing at me because of you," he spat, pacing. "My friends, my coworkers. I can't even show my face without someone making a joke about it. You ruined me, Alex." I kept my voice low. "You ruined yourself." That set him off. He stormed into the living room, grabbed one of my framed photos, me and my sister at graduation, and smashed it on the floor. Glass shattered everywhere. Then he turned to me, chest heaving, and said, "You're gonna regret this." It wasn't just anger anymore. It was menace. After that night, I started locking my door when I slept. He got louder, meaner, slamming doors, blasting music at 3 a.m., leaving passive-aggressive notes like, "Watch your back, chef." I caught him once standing outside my room in the dark, just standing there, not moving, not saying anything. And the worst part? He started dragging outsiders into it. He'd invite random people over, loud, drunk, destructive, and I'd hear him in the next room, retelling the story of how Alex poisoned him, twisting it until I sounded like some psycho who tried to kill his roommate. He wanted me painted as the villain, no matter how much truth he had to ignore. The apartment wasn't just uncomfortable anymore. It was hostile. I couldn't cook without watching my back, couldn't sleep without double-checking the lock. And in the back of my head, one thought kept circling. If Mark was willing to smash a photo, what else was he willing to break? The breaking point came on a Thursday night. I'd just gotten home from work, dead tired, when I found the living room trashed. Couch cushions overturned, beer cans everywhere, one of my gym bags sliced open like he'd gone through it. And Mark, he was sitting on the floor, head in his hands, rocking like a kid in timeout. When he looked up, his eyes were rimmed red, his face twisted with rage. "You think you're better than me, huh?" he hissed. "You humiliated me. You made me a joke." Before I could answer, he lunged for the kitchen. My heart spiked. I followed, and there he was, yanking open the fridge, grabbing one of my fresh meal preps. He ripped the lid off, held it up like a trophy. "I'm still in charge here," he shouted. "This is still mine." And then, he shoved a handful into his mouth. But here's the thing. I'd been ready. I hadn't cooked anything special that week. I'd been buying cheap pre-made meals from the store, bland, flavorless, not even worth stealing. That container he was devouring? Just boiled chicken and plain rice. The look on his face when he realized, when the taste hit him, was priceless. No sweetness, no glaze, nothing indulgent. Just dry, rubbery chicken. He chewed, swallowed, then threw the container at the wall in a fit, screaming, "What the fuck is this?" That's when I finally snapped. "You want to steal from me? Fine. Steal that. Choke on dry-ass chicken for the rest of your life. Because that's all you're ever going to be, Mark. Empty. Bitter. Nothing special." The room went dead quiet. For once, he didn't have a comeback. He just stood there, chest heaving, staring at me like he'd seen a ghost. Then he stormed off to his room, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. I didn't follow. I didn't say another word. The next morning, he was gone. Half his stuff missing, the rest scattered like trash. No note. Just silence. I've been alone in the apartment since. The fridge is full, untouched. My food stays exactly where I leave it. And when I open the door and see those neatly stacked containers, I feel something I haven't felt in months. Peace. Funny thing is, people still joke about that night at the pregame. The legend of Mark's bathroom disaster. To everyone else, it's just a hilarious story. But for me, it's proof. Proof that bullies fall hardest when they choke on their own arrogance. And every time I sit down with a meal I cooked myself, steaming hot, untouched by anyone else, I take the first bite slow. Because it tastes like freedom.